Information Station 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
With the sun and it burns until the day is.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. It's time to learn a little bit more about the horse industry that has always been so mysterious to me after all these years. Finally, figuring it out a little bit with the help of our friends from the Equine Alliance of Marion County. This program is called Horse Sense, and it is an interactive program. You can call in on the phone. The number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. And today, Dory Morgan and Mark Shufford are in the studio. Good morning to both of you. Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Larry. How are you?
Pretty good. Now, is tomorrow the Belmont?
Tomorrow's
Yes,
the
sir.
Belmont.
Okay, I was a week ahead of myself last week, but now I'm on track.
Yeah, you were supposed to go make your bets this week.
Oh, I can't. It's too late. I can't.
No, there's still time.
I thought you were doing that earlier
Well,
this week.
I forgot.
You still have time.
Still have time. Just got to get some
But
time
is
off
it-
from work and go place your bets.
But if you bet on like one of the like on California Chrome and win, you don't really win much, right? Because he's
Wow.
No,
Yeah, that's not the way to.
the best thing to do is bet on a loser, right?
No.
What's called
No.
it's called a long shot.
A long shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where you make more money. But yeah, you'll make a little bit on them right now, but not a whole
Really?
lot.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think what did I say last was 3 to 5.
3 to 5 right now.
So something like 3 to 5 means if you put 100 to win, then you would win like 60. I think.
Really?
Yeah, if you put 100 to win at 3 to 5 odds, and the horse won, then you'd go back into the pay window and you'd get $160.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you would lose 40.
no.
No.
Okay.
No. But if you bet on a loser, it doesn't matter what the odds are, you always lose.
See, I'm not a very good gambler.
You know, you never. Well, yeah, you
Oh,
never.
I'm not either. If I bet and I lose, I'm upset. And if I don't bet and I
Yeah.
lose, I'm upset I didn't bet. So
And when I win, it's always small because I bet $1. I don't bet much.
yeah.
So I don't.
But
bet.
it makes the race more interesting. Even a $2 bet. A lot of.
I
bets-
agree. I agree.
Yeah, if you got $2 and I usually bet $2 across the board on something, and
Well,
I
even
just
in a
say-
baseball game, you're not betting, but you're rooting.
Yeah, you
and
gotta root
and
for
it
something.
really helps to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Don't you? You're a baseball guy. You
Sure.
know. Yeah.
I think anytime that you have a little bit of skin in the game,
Yeah,
it just
it's
makes
more-
it more fun.
more exciting.
Yeah, you picked your horse. I think some of those $2 tickets don't even get cashed. You know, that would be.
Oh, yeah. especially in a Triple Crown. I mean, there's
You know, on a Triple Crown, you may value your ticket you get back from the betting window more than the 40 cents that you get back for your $2 bet. It's like,
That's
oh, this
funny.
is the winning ticket.
This was a winning ticket on a Triple Crown, so you may put that in a drawer and save it, hoping now it's going to be worth more down the road as a collector's item.
So how did a racetrack in New York end up in this loop? It seems like horse racing is mostly a southeast thing. How did it end up in New York?
It's been in New York since 1826.
Or maybe there were horses there back then.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, this is
Go ahead.
the horse racing industry in this country started in Virginia, actually.
Oh, really?
The thoroughbred horse racing started in Virginia, then went to Kentucky. But this is the oldest of the Triple Crown
Yes.
races. This is the 146th. The Kentucky Derby was the 140th, and the Preakness, I believe, is 1 year behind the Derby.
I think so.
Yeah, 139th, or is it 41?
I'd have to look it up.
I can't.
Yeah.
I had those stats and.
So I have a question about the horse itself. Can I throw one of them in there?
Sure.
Sure.
Is the hair called hair, or is it fur, or is it something different?
Hair.
It's called hair. And a horse sweats. Is that? I mean, we sweat, so and we're mammals. But is it unusual? Like most mammals, don't sweat, right? Or am I wrong about that?
There are some. I mean,
We do.
yeah, we do. Horses do. Dogs sweat through their paws.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Of course, their breath, but a lot through their paws also.
I didn't know that.
There's some other mammals that sweat.
So when you are working a horse and it gets really hot and really sweaty, is that why when you go to the barn you'll see them hosing them down? And is that
Well,
to
you're
cool?
hosing them down to cool them down because they're sweaty just like us. We're sweating to cool ourselves off. Well, that sweat's now heating, and so then you're not cooling as much. So you want to get rid of the hot water and put cool water so it can keep.
So they probably enjoy that.
And they enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very.
Do the horses go swimming? I mean, you see them
yes.
in movies swimming, yeah?
Sure.
Some of them like it. Some of them don't. And a lot of people use it as exercise. Yeah, and especially rehab, it's done a lot because if you have a horse that's injured, you may not want them out there running on the track exercising, but you can put them in a pool and get them just like athletes, get them back exercising, moving those muscles, but not putting the strain on the joints.
Oh, wow.
So there's quite a few facilities around Ocala that have, the swimming pools for horses, just like
that'd be
people.
cool to watch.
Yeah, there's spas, and
Really?
they put them in the water and put them in the pool and work them through their rehab.
And you have a phone call. You ready to go to the phones? Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air with Horse Sense.
Yes, good morning, horse people.
Good morning.
Dorian Mark.
Yeah, I don't know too much about horses other than they got 4 legs and this and a tail and a head. But when I get company that comes down from Wisconsin, family and friends and that, besides going to the Appleton and the Silver Springs, I always take them for a ride in the countryside to look at the horse farms. And let me tell you, they're always amazed how beautiful it is and what a wonderful area we have here in Florida. My question is, general health for a horse, do they get supplements like a human being, vitamin pills and this, that, and whatnot?
Well, the ones that need them.
Yeah, every trainer has his own regimen, just like any human athlete, of what they believe in as far as supplements. And a lot of the supplements are the same as horses as in humans. A lot of them start with the horses. Can horses suffer like humans from, let's say, high blood pressure and high cholesterol?
They have a different digestive system than people, so I'm not sure that they have different digestive issues, but I mean some would be similar.
Most of their similarities in health problems involve the digestive system. I mean, they suffer from ulcers just like humans, and that can cause a big problem based on stress and eating disorders.
Yeah. Say, would you by chance know what the heart rate of a racing horse is before and after a race?
All your trainers would. I don't happen to have it off the top of my head. When I used to compete a lot, I knew that just right off my fingertips. But I would like to say, but I'm afraid I'm going to say it wrong.
Quite a difference after.
Oh, yes. And most of your testing, you have your at-rest heart rate, and of course then you have your working heart rate, and the guideline basically is within 10 minutes that heart rate should come back down to that resting. And most horses do. If they're in condition, that heart rate, just like humans, will drop pretty quickly.
Yeah. After a race, you usually see them throw a blanket over the horse, and then they have what they probably call a cool-down period.
Yes. So you'll see them walking. Right. You want to walk the horse to keep that, you don't want to immediately, just like a human athlete. When you stop running, you don't just immediately sit down. You walk it off. You cool down. So they'll hose them down, and then they'll put a cooling blanket on them to help dissipate that heat, because a lot of the heat, since they do sweat, is going to be released through the top of their body, which is the biggest body mass. So they're walking them down. They take them back to the barn after the race. They hose them down again, and they walk them for quite a long time in the barn after the race, cooling them down. And then they continually check them, as far as their legs, make sure there's no heat in the legs unnecessarily. They pack the legs in what's called a poultice, which is a cooling mud pack to put on their legs, because that's where the strain obviously is, and they want to cool those legs down.
Okay. Great program, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thanks. One of the things that we wanted to talk about today, or I did a little bit of research. Triple Crown winners are very few and far between.
I bet, yeah.
And tomorrow is
Could be history in the making.
Yep. There have only been 11, and really 10 Triple Crown winners in the modern format. Sir Barton was the first horse to win the Triple Crown, and he's the unofficial winner, and that was in 1919. And the reason he's unofficial was nobody was calling it the Triple Crown race. And in addition to that, the Belmont has actually changed. The Belmont Stakes has actually changed its distance a couple of times. It's currently a 1.5 mile race. But when Sir Barton won that race, it was only 1 3/8 miles.
Okay.
So he didn't win it. He didn't win it the 1.5 miles.
Pretty close.
And it was somewhere in the 20s, in the mid 20s, that mid to late 20s, there was some. Remember the guy's name? A writer, a sports writer, that started referring to these sets of races as the Triple Crown. So anyway, so 1919, we still say Sir Barton was the first Triple Crown winner. 1930 was Gallant Fox, and so they called him the Fox of Bel Air, and that would have been after these sports writers and everybody had kind of started promoting these sets of races as the Triple Crown. 1935 was a horse called Omaha, and he was one of only 18 babies from Gallant Fox's first foal crop.
So that was 45?
35.
Oh, 35.
So Gallant Fox wins in 1930.
Oh, wow.
In 1935, one of Gallant Fox's babies, one of his sons, wins, and that was Omaha. So I thought, as we got to looking through this history of these horses, they've all got these unique stories.
Yeah.
Where they came from, how they came to be. So he was a son of Gallant Fox, and then Gallant Fox only had 18 babies that same year that Omaha was born.
Only?
Yes.
Be a lot for me.
For you.
Well, that'd be a lot for you, but
Horses, no, not
horses,
so much.
not so much.
Very small.
That's a very small foal crop. So 2 years later, in 1937, is a horse called War Admiral, and people may remember War Admiral. His claim to fame, or one of the reasons he may be known is because of his father, Man of War. So Man of War was War Admiral's sire. What I find interesting, that was 1937. So you know what was going on in the country, economically,
prior to the war,
just prior to the war, but during the Depression coming through that time. So this horse racing very popular in the country. People really keep up with horse racing as much as they did baseball and boxing and other sports like that. So War Admiral goes on to win the Triple Crown, but there was a little horse that beat War Admiral the next year in 1938. You have any idea what that might have been, Larry?
Oh my goodness, the horse's name?
Yep. You might know. That,
really?
Yep.
I don't know too many names. Secretariat, is that one? Or?
No, he's a lot modern.
More
so this is way back. Anyway.
I only know a few names.
Okay, so the year War Admiral win the Triple Crown, that was 37. The next year, in November of 1938.
Seattle Slew?
No, Seabiscuit.
Oh, Seabiscuit. Oh, okay,
yep.
okay.
And they ran in a match race. It was just those two horses. And Seabiscuit became Horse of the Year that year in 1938 after beating War Admiral, who had won the Triple Crown. So that was the mighty beast against the little roughnecker kind of horse, and big deal, big match race. If you've not seen that movie, Seabiscuit, that's a great movie, and explains that whole deal. And as Seabiscuit's running all over the country, winning all of his races, then War Admiral's running on the other side of the country, winning all of his races. And so it's like these two big heavyweight fighters that, meet for this big match race. Okay, so that's War Admiral. 1941, there's a horse called Whirlaway, and he was referred to as the runningest horse. Dory, you keep up with this kind of stuff. You have any idea why he's called the runningest horse? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
When I tell you, I think you'll remember, because as I read it, I do remember that story. They said when this horse broke out of the gate that he would run to the rail, run all over the track, but still win the races.
Oh, really?
Yep. His trainer even said, his trainer was Ben Jones, and his trainer used to remark about the Whirlaway. Said, you can teach him, but you can't teach him much. So he would run out and I guess go to the rail and use up a lot of extra ground, but still win the race.
I think he was a handful to handle too.
Yeah.
He was a problem child.
Wow. Well, he was a winner, so they.
Yeah.
He was a winner,
and he was a famous winner from the famous Calumet farm.
Yep.
Where's that?
That's in Kentucky.
Okay.
But there's been a lot of stories and books written on Calumet.
Calumet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
1943, there's a horse named Count Fleet, and said he was America's wartime Triple Crown hero. So that was 1943, and he started his racing career as a 2-year-old in 1942 at Belmont. And his evidence said his colors were yellow and black. The colors of his silks that he wore were yellow and black, and so it was just a coincidence. But his owner was Miss Franny Hertz, and that's Hertz. Okay. So Miss Franny Hertz is the wife of Mr. Hertz, who started
the rent-a-car?
The rent-a-car.
Okay.
And it was just a coincidence that his colors were yellow and black, and
okay.
The Hertz were kind of fairly unimpressed with this horse as a 2-year-old. And Mr. Hertz tried to peddle the horse, tried to sell him, but he couldn't find anybody to want to buy him. So they kept him and raced him as a 3-year-old and ended up being one of the 11 Triple Crown winners.
Oh, wow.
So
we might see another one tomorrow.
Well, we hope.
Good chance. We're all hoping and rooting. You got to hope for it.
Yeah.
1946, a horse called Assault, and said he was a club-footed horse. He had got injured in he had stepped on something as a younger horse that said went right up through his foot, and then it left that horse with a permanent walk, permanent limp at the walk or trot, but didn't affect him at the run. And so it didn't have anything to do with his ability to finish the race or run strong. He wasn't particularly big. He was like 15.2 and 1,000 pounds. So that's not huge for a
15.2 means what?
15 two hands measured from the ground
to the withers.
And a hand is 4 inches.
Okay.
and the two would be 2 inches. So it'd be 15 hands.
15 times 4 plus 2.
Plus 2.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Just to let you know, like your typical draft horse, like a Clydesdale, would be 18 hands.
Oh, so big.
Big, and so they can go from 18 to 20 hands. And your ponies are typically anything 13 hands and under.
Oh, okay. And is the Clydesdale the largest horse?
There's been several records. I mean, there's a Shire that was on record as being one of the tallest horses. Your Shires, your Belgians, your Clydes, I mean, they're all in that same size. So it just depends on, like basketball players, who's the tallest right now.
Are they like dogs, where the bigger they are, the quicker they die, the younger they die, I should say?
Your draft horses, yes.
Yeah.
They typically have a lifespan. They're 21, 22 is going to be pretty much in an old draft horse.
Oh, wow.
Where thoroughbreds, it's not unusual to see them living into their late 30s.
Really?
And there's been some in the 40s. Ponies, it's very common for them to be in the 40s.
Wow.
So again, like dogs, the smaller,
the longer they live.
The longer they live. Yep.
Got a couple more to get through.
Go on with your history lesson.
Go on with the history lesson. 1948 was Citation.
I'm fascinated by this.
They called him Big Soft, and he was of Calumet Farms. He won the Kentucky Derby. Said it was more than an inch of rain on the track, and he ran in a really nasty track that day to win the Kentucky Derby, and so that was Citation 1948. 1973 was Secretariat, and that's probably the world's still most famous racehorse. The People's Horse.
That's a big span of time between Triple Crown winners.
Yep, we had a little run in the 30s. They seemed to come in slugs, right there. So you had 30, 35, 37, then a little bit of a break, and then 41, 43, 46, 48. Then big break. Then you go to 1973.
Wow.
And that's Secretariat. That's Big Red. And if you, even if you didn't know anything at all about horses, you were very likely to have seen or heard something about Secretariat as he won that Triple Crown. He ended up on the cover of Time magazine a week or so after completing the Triple Crown. He's on the cover of Time magazine. He was actually 35th on ESPN's 100 greatest athletes of the 20th century. So he was 35th for athletes for the 20th century, and only one of 3 non-humans on the list. I don't ask. I don't know what the other 2 were.
And his
But the
records
jockey doesn't go on there. I mean, the jockey is an athlete too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they get a lot of prestige also.
Okay.
So, there's some of your top jockeys, Jerry Bailey's, Mike Smith's. I mean, they're sought out for interviews, book deals, just like the horses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was, he still holds the record for the Kentucky Derby at a mile and a quarter. He's the only horse to ever run that race in less than 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it's 1:59 and change.
And still holds it for the Belmont.
Still holds it for the Belmont.
2.24 is the track record and the world record, and he holds it. And also for the longest stretch, he was 31 lengths in front of all the horses.
Oh, wow.
To the point where the most famous pictures, he was so far in the lead coming down the stretch that the jockey kept shaking his head and looking over his shoulder to see
where is everybody? Oh, wow.
I mean, he just did a nice hand gallop across the finish line. It was such a win.
It was unbelievable.
I mean, every time I watch that rerun of that race, I still hold my breath. And even though you know he's going to win, you still hold your breath.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
But he hits another gear, and it's incredible that the way he finished. So there was he still holds the track record there, and then the like Doris said for the distance, and it was like.
If you've never watched that race,
it's just incredible.
You've got to watch it. It still brings chills to everybody.
You know the ending, but you still
like, oh my God, don't fall. And of course, that was the famous saying from Penny Chenery when she was watching a race: "Don't fall off, Ronnie."
Yeah, don't
because
fall
you've won it. But if the jockey would fall off, now you've lost the race because they must come across the finish line with the jockey.
Similar. Okay, so then we got to Secretariat from 48 to 73. We didn't have one, and then in 73, Secretariat. Then in a couple years later, 1977, Seattle Slew, and that reminded me when you were talking about him. Talking about the jockey not falling off. Seattle Slew. You may remember that his jockey. Was so confident in the stretch, also at the Belmont, he actually stood up and in the irons, and I guess it's a mile and a half race, so it's long, but
sometimes they forget how long
maybe
it
they
is.
Forget how long it is or where they are on the track.
Yeah.
So he stood up in the irons and started waving his whip and waving at the crowd. Before he finished. Now, he still won.
Yeah.
But he stood up in the irons.
Could have ruined it.
But if there was a horse a little bit closer and you stand up, well, when you stand up, those horses slow down.
Oh, wow.
They come out of racing gear. So that was Seattle Slew in 77. 1978 was affirmed, and that was the big Florida bred horse. Had a big duel with Alidar, and then tomorrow then we're going to see
the next one.
Yeah.
We
So
hope.
Florida's still holding the record right now with the
Oh,
crown,
wow.
So.
California Chrome is the next candidate for the Triple Crown.
Gosh, I always wish we had more time. That was great. Mark, thank you. And Dory, thank you for coming in. We'll be rooting for somebody tomorrow.
That's right.
Go make your bets.
Make your bets. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. 217,000 new jobs added last month as our job market reached a significant milestone.
The good news here is that we have now recovered all 8.7 million jobs lost during the Great Depression here, our Great Depression, over the last 5 years. It is the longest recovery. We do have more working age folks now, 15 million more.
Fox Business Network's Nicole Petalides on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. The turning point of World War II remembered.
The president joining a few hundred American